That sounds.
Monday. It was a little rough this morning.
No.
When you going up north?
I'm back. I'm going back up in
I
August.
say, you went and you're back? Gee, I missed you.
Only a week.
Obviously.
July I'll be going up for 2 different 4-day
Oh, yeah,
stays,
good.
but
Yeah,
they're during the week. I mean weekends,
yeah, okay.
because I missed 3 meetings and I was almost going through withdrawal from you folks. I mean, I just love this so much.
Actually, I thought you'd be going through impeachment.
Well, you tried that once.
Oh,
That's always good when being compared to heroin.
okay, well,
I've still got 1 minute.
I got 7.
not on my satellite.
Yes.
I can't read the clock from here.
My clock says 6:58, that says
Yours is
6:59,
wrong,
we'll go
so-
by that.
My clock, my watch.
Mine says 7:01.
Me too.
Yeah. I don't know,
Just saying.
get the dialer
Did
thing.
Betsy
out.
say that? It couldn't have been Tierra.
Oh, no, I said
Sundials don't work well.
it. Right.
Well, since the vote is 6 or
I
5
did
to
some
nothing
motions
with
for him,
1
and I
abstention,
mowed.
thank you, Dana. I will
Start
call
getting
the
bills. So I know.
June 8th,
I went in the house during.
2021 village meeting to order. And I would ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Trustee Bingham,
Present.
trustee Duncan,
Here.
trustee Brendan. Here. Trustee Mansell. Here. Trustee Mitchell
Here.
and trustee Saylor.
Okay, if you would please rise and face the flag for the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence. Today, I'd ask you to remember all of our fallen soldiers from D-Day 1944, June 6th, which was 2 days ago. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
thank you very much. Please be seated. Okay, the chair will entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda. Motion by trustee Duncan,
Second.
second by trustee Bingham. Are any of the 2 items want to be removed by any trustee for further discussion? Hearing no request, all those in favor of the motion to approve the consent agenda signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. Public comments on agenda items. Any public comments? Okey-doke. Into the president's report. It's my pleasure for a special honor tonight for a citizen and for her help in the garage sale that was just held recently, and Boz has a good write-up here, and I would ask him to please read it.
All right, Ms. Shannon, can you come step forward? Villager Shannon Oego has presented a village coin for her dedicated efforts in creating and managing a digital map tool for the 2021 village rummage sale. Shannon offered her help and personal time to the village to ensure our rummage sale and return to normalcy after the pandemic was professionally executed. Her efforts are greatly appreciated and show her commitment to her fellow villagers and the village of Port Edwards.
Thank you, Shannon, very much.
It's yours.
Would you like to say a few words to the board?
No, I just moved here like 2 years ago, so
Thank you.
thank you.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
I'm a resident nerd, so.
And
Thanks.
you're more than welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting.
I actually have to head out. My oldest is watching the younger ones, and
We get it.
thank
Yeah.
you.
We understand.
Thank you.
There's no blood.
Thank you.
I hope not.
Next time, bring the children along. They're always a good addition to the meetings.
I also understand.
Thank you again, Shannon, very
You
much.
are very welcome, and if you need anything similar to that, said I'm kind of a resident nerd, so Thanks,
Good.
willing to help out.
Thank you much.
Thank
All
you.
right, thank you.
You bet, thank you. And as usual, it pains me, but Boz, good job on that for singling that out, and recognizing the special above and beyond for
Sitting there?
village
Resident nerd.
Oh, I thought it was Eric.
residents.
Sorry.
I started it.
It's John's fault.
It always is.
All right, moving on to, I have nothing special. There's one more recognition that come up from Chairman Saylor under Public Safety. So going into the committee reports, the Airport Commission, this was the last meeting held on 1 April 2021 that Katie attended. And so Boz, if there's anything you remember from that meeting that you wanted to make special point of?
No.
Have at it,
We
okay.
have the minutes there.
I'm gonna try and get Jeremy back on his schedule of meeting with the board every 3 months. We tried to get him in January, April, July, and October. And that kind of stopped after I was off the Airport Commission. But now that I'm back on there, I'm gonna try and get that restarted because it makes more sense to have the guy that's calling the shots, so to speak, being able to tell you instead of a politician relaying them from our meetings. And we usually meet on the first Thursdays of every month, and except this month, they are gonna hold it this Thursday, the second Thursday, because I was on vacation last month. All right, Chairman Saylor, Public Safety, please.
We have nothing with the PFC.
Police and fire.
Oh, everybody read the minutes?
And B comes before C.
Pardon?
B comes before C.
Thank you, Dana, I appreciate it. We live out on Pleasant, we drive near Port Road, the speeds are so high that it affects me. Okay, B comes before, you're sure now?
Yes.
Okay, here we go. Hello.
Public Works. Let's see.
That'd be me.
That'd be
There's a
C.
sequence.
We're trying to find the minutes. Keep stalling.
Welcome back.
Page 10. Yes, page 10.
Here, let me.
How did you know I was thinking about crappies?
It's been a long time.
John, just take it away. I'm not gonna say anything.
Yeah,
in public.
Public Works, we had a really good discussion at our Public Works meeting. Looking at we added $5,000 to the installation of village sidewalks from the pending ARP funding, which I was glad to see. We'll get some additional sidewalk done. Updates, Ben was here. Projects are going good, on schedule. So North Bike Trail, I think that's been done, right? Because I saw something where it was closed and now it should be open.
Yeah, there's some grading work that needs to be done.
Is there
but
still some grading on
You can
the?
actually use it, so it's just a
Okay.
little bump off on the sides.
All right, thanks, Boz. We did review the annual sanitation plant compliance report. Everything is running well and well within the parameters, so I would entertain a motion to approve the Village of Port Edwards annual compliance report for 2021 for the wastewater facility.
Second.
We have a motion by Chairman Bingham, second by Trustee Mitchell. Is there any discussion?
All you have is the resolution, and I basically, unlike previous years where it just said approve it, I wanted to put some data points in there so you don't have to bore yourself with reading the actual long product. But it is available and I can send it out. It's about 30, 40 pages. So this is the resolution that just basically summarizes what John said, gives you the grade status, gives you where we stand as a village. We're well in compliance, and if not higher than compliance. So
Is there any trustee that would like to speak on the matter? Hearing no requests, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, thank you. Under old business, we spent some time talking about crosswalks along 5473. Obviously, the state gets involved when you're talking a state highway, and Ben kind of updated us on that. Would be anything that we would do by ourselves would be about 500,000. So it's probably not something that's going to be high on our priority list at this particular time. A lot of discussion, good discussion on that from a safety perspective and for where the trail comes. I'm trying to think now where the trail does cross there, right? Yeah. And so probably not going to happen, I guess. Sue, is that correct to say? Yeah, but we had a good discussion and looked at, you know, Betsy lives up that way too. So we'll just wait till your kids start driving or something. The village sanitation deficit loan, we're still looking at a 10-year, 900,000. Boz did a nice job of kind of explaining where that was going. What's happening, interestingly, as the rates go up, people are getting more frugal with their water usage or using appliances that are more ecology focused. And so as we increase rates, it seems our revenue is coming down. So it's a positive for the residents. It's a positive really in water usage if you're into, you know, preserving the environment and using our resources wisely. So we looked at rates proposed. That'll probably be coming up again, right, Boz?
In budget talks, we'll.
Yeah,
mention
budget
that.
talks will address that. We just can't catch up. You know, we can't run, even with the 900,000, we can't catch up enough in the long run that we're ever going to be a break-even facility. But, and again, if I misspeak, Boz, please jump in. I think in the short term, we're fine with the 900,000. Our compliance report was good. So with the wastewater, you know how I feel about water and roads. But I don't think my house is being more frugal. But anyway, my water bills go up. So the good news is, though, that I think the village is doing a good job in terms of the residents. And we're looking at ways about collecting revenue. We still have a lot of outstanding water bills. And that's an issue that I'm not sure how we're going to address. Boz, any add on?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think the average is the annual. We're hitting the same numbers even with the pandemic. There are a few more based on the pandemic. So we'll see how this year pans out when all the government assistance ends. And then we'll continue to use the methods we have with seeking these folks out, tracking them down, and get the money eventually.
Yeah, so even if we got collected the outstanding stuff, it'd be a real positive to our revenue generation, if I recall correctly. Okay, that was a good discussion also on where we're going forward as a community, as a village with water rates. And that's always something that residents are concerned about. That's all I have.
Thank you. At the risk of further chastisement from Chairman Saylor, public safety, please.
Are you ready now? Okay.
Thanks for stalling. I appreciate it.
We had a meeting on June 1. I guess first off, the big news that kind of came out of that was Fire Chief Patrick Arndt's resignation, and I'd like to thank him for his time and with the fire department of 33 years. I think we got some plaques and we got some stuff coming up, so I appreciate all the time and energy that he put into the department, and I look forward to seeing what the future is. So with that, we had a discussion about some pool filling, some qualification questions with the PFC. Talked about possibly what the plans are for replacing of some trucks and equipment.
Could you repeat that? You talked to the PFC about? No.
Hiring I mean, Scott was here.
Oh.
I'm trying to get what I hear on the fire department and what I hear from the PFC, get those parties to talk to each other, which they are, but we have a lot of rumblings.
As long as you understand, I know you do, that when it comes to operations, the PFC is mute. They have nothing to do with.
Correct. I was looking at their policies, how they operate.
Very good.
So we had those little discussions, and the chief and the assistant chief were here. The police department talked about Lex Pool, talked about the crosswalks again, and stuff. That was about it. I received Chief Farnt's resignation letter, and we were done at 5:55. Any questions on anything?
How long have I been on this board? 5 years, 6 years, 4? I've never gotten a question. No one ever calls me. Never got a question or an inquiry by a citizen in 10 years on the school board. Until today, or this past week. I had 2 different people out of the blue ask me, what the hell is pool filling? And they couldn't understand it from the minutes. So would you explain it to me, because I'm reading it and I don't understand.
If we have an issue with the minutes, we got to take it up with Betsy. But so every year we get approached to fill pools. Jason Kerberg's pool down in Brentwood, he asked if we could fill it up. We have different residents that come because they don't want to just put the hose there. They want it filled now and they want it to start warming up. So years and years and years ago, we would take 2 trucks over there, dump our 4,000 gallons, fill their pool. Do it on a handshake. Last couple chiefs have put it to bed, not doing it. And now we're just trying to make a policy, put a fee attached to it so we can put it in black and white, put it in our SOPs. So when that question is asked, it's decided. It's not
Okay.
bias.
Go ahead, Sue.
I do have a question. So anybody who calls up with a pool can have that done?
Well, it's got to be,
They're covered by our fire district.
we're still
Right.
working on
Well, I
the
mean,
verbiage,
then,
but yeah, so if,
yeah, residents.
if a resident
obviously.
in the town of Port Edwards that we have a fire contract, case in point around the corner on 54, I was contacted by them.
Sure.
We shouldn't have a problem if there's a fee attached and they pay the fee, so.
Okay, because I'm like Dana, I also had a question asked of me.
You want your
about
hot tub,
that,
yeah,
so-
you want your hot tub filled, we can fill that puppy too.
Okay.
Take it
I
3
took it
minutes.
out, so
Have
It
to
wasn't
build a
used
fire
yet.
underneath the truck.
it's too much water.
I did not realize that could be done.
We get asked all the time, you guys would be
Okay.
surprised.
This is a service that's provided by several communities. I just read an article about
That's
the fire department, yeah. And I think it's just another good part of the service that we can provide as a village. And, you know, I'm looking forward to whatever Eric and the committee come up with.
Okay, anything else, Eric?
Nope.
Sue, I'm sorry if I.
Well, could I ask one more question
Sure.
on that topic? Thank you. So is the price then, it pays for the time and water?
Nah.
So
It's a service.
they're,
only.
the chiefs and Boz are trying to figure out what a fair price would be. In the past, it was a little less, a little more. We just want to standardize it. The cost will pay for the water, of course, and the labor, the equipment charge. So whatever the chiefs and Boz decides, that's what we're gonna go with. So I just wanted to make it so we can't say, yes, we do it for you. No, we don't do it for you. It's just,
Right.
it's written. So
It's a good idea.
Okay, that was it.
that was it.
Dana, hit committee?
Well, Sue was acting chair, I guess. The meeting was called to order and minutes were approved. No committee or chair. Future land map was discussed. And the Market Street business ordinance updates listed there. There was a motion to approve the merging of the 2 Nepco Lake lots. And I would move approval by the full board for that.
Second.
Okay, was that you had the motion, Dana, when you read it, I presume?
That's what I said, yes.
Okay, and then second by Tiara,
Yes.
okay. Any discussion? For my own interest, because this has been on the burner for long before you, or you're probably still active duty. Want to give us a little history up to this point?
These are just administrative actions. Either you split or you merge a parcel within the village. It requires the board to concur to make sure property zone tax purposes. So these are 2 lots on, I guess it's called Lost Lake, that little lake that's over there across the way. 2 lots that someone bought. They want to put them together. There's no new building going on. They just wanted to have no neighbors right up on them. So they bought the lot next to them. So it's a standard administrative action. We looked at it through our ordinances, no issues. So we're just asking for concurrence.
It wasn't common procedure about 5 years ago over there. We had it very political, so that's why I asked the questions to make sure that that issue is put to rest because the owners of the property got involved from the developers. So, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Is this the new,
That's the actual documentation
CSM?
for the,
is this the new CSM
that's
that's
the
done
merging.
with the
Yes,
merge?
yes,
Okay. So there's no number yet because it hasn't been recorded.
yeah, exactly.
It, sir?
Yes, it wasn't anything really else on there, so. we can proceed.
Thank you. Eric, back to you.
We had a meeting for FHR on 3 June. Pretty much the only thing, one of the things, it was a pretty quick meeting that we talked about was the, what do they call that? The ARP or whatever the America Relief Funding is. And we just discussed that whatever you guys come out of committees, you guys have, I'm assuming that you guys have vetted it. So we'll just, it's not us as the FHR committee to say no, yes, no, yes. If you guys have already figured it out, we'll just roll with that. So that was kind of the biggest thing there. And by saying that, I have a motion. I'll make a motion to approve the following projects for the village utilizing the expected $85,000 in 2021 American Rescue Plan federal funding. These projects have been discussed and vetted by the respective village committees and are authorized by the federal expenditure guidance the village has received. The cost for each project will not be more than stated. An additional $5,000 for village sidewalks, $25,000 for village park upgrades, $40,000 for 2 digital village signs, $10,000 for business signage for the business district.
Second.
Chair will call for a second. Second by Mansell. Discussion. John, go ahead.
Yeah, my own fault. I had a game that night, so I missed the FHR meeting. And I missed when you said, which was kind of a new wrinkle, you can ask to take items off the agenda. Is that what you said at the start of the meeting? I thought you said, is there any discussion?
Tonight?
Yeah,
You said off the consent
Consent
agenda to
agenda.
discuss. Yeah,
Yes.
that's how.
That's what he
it
said.
is.
In the consent agenda.
right.
Because you're allowed to, a trustee's allowed to pull one, like, see, you have a big thing with a expense. And it's in the journal entries or something.
Oh, okay. So I couldn't ask that this be pulled,
The motion?
the motion.
Oh,
You can
no.
move- You can move the table.
Can I explain why we put it on there?
Yeah, because I missed the meeting, so I'm looking for some
So
background.
you being the chairman of PIT, or not PIT, whatever, Public Works, you've talked about in your minutes that you wanted $5,000 for sidewalks or something like that.
Mhm.
So the funds were coming in. We did not want to have to approve or disapprove a month from now if we had to get on calendars for contractors for those projects.
Yeah,
So that's why we put this in there, basically summing up saying that the last couple of months, everybody's kind of agreed that this is where the money are for those projects. And if we do this, it does not have to come to FHR to final approval. Basically, we're taking final approval from you guys as committees. Just to save
Okay.
time.
my personal opposition is for the digital village signs and the business signage. I'd like to see that money spent elsewhere, and I'm not just pushing for public works. I like the parks idea. I think parks is one of the real positive things we have going in the village. And I know, Eric, you're an advocate for that. And I wasn't at the meeting, so I'm behind the 8 ball, so I'm not sure what digital signs. We're a village. I don't see the fit. I really don't. And if I'm missing something. I don't know. If somebody can explain that to me, Boz, can you
Yeah.
explain that to
So
me?
just for clarification, so Eric hit on it, is a lot of these initiatives require initial contracts and vetting to happen now, over the next few weeks.
Yes.
Hence the reason why we need this. When it came to the village signs, based on the pandemic and the necessity for us to engage our citizens, we found that the majority of our citizens, when they are told not to come here for whatever physical reason, they're challenged of how do we get that message out. We've gotten away from monthly newsletters because they're very cost prohibitive. About what, 400 to do a mailing, roughly. If we did a mailing for every issue, $400 a pop.
I understand.
So we've gotten away from that. The consensus from our citizens in our surveys we've done is that be either Facebook or digitally, they prefer messages go out that way. And that's how they correspond with government. They're very thankful for that. They'd rather not have paper and so on. So based on that, in the locations we have in our village, be it Albee Park and is in front of the fire station, we have some key locations where almost 95% of the village passes on a daily basis. This would be a method that we would use to put on board meetings, committee meetings, hydrant day, just blast information out that catches people's eyes. The 40,000 was for 2 signs installed. After some discussion with some local contractors, that is definitely the cap. I think we can do it for a lot less. So I definitely see money coming back into the coffers relatively quickly on that one. But that was just the initiative that we've talked about in various committees, and the public is very appreciative of that if we go down that road.
Okay, yeah, it's more, with me, it's more the aesthetics. I mean, I don't like to see those signs in our community. I really don't think they're effective. I know not everybody has Facebook. I get a lot of information on notices about what's open, what's closed. So I'm not promoting Facebook, although it's a good resource to put information out there. Yeah. And then what's the 10th business signage for the village business district?
Part of our assistance to try to assist our downtown businesses, the few we have, is to standardize the signage for this building and across the street based on a facade improvement that we're working towards as a village this year, next year. Improvements to Market Street, basically to set the stage and conditions to draw activity down here. And part of that, to avoid a cloud picture, a rainbow down here, is to clean up that, hence the ordinance changes, but also that we as a village will incentivize our businesses with some funds to get a standardized sign. They all look alike, they're all interconnected, and they're all professionally done. And to help with that, rather than dictate it, we offer some funding, federal funding here to help get that started.
Do we have to expend that 85,000 in a certain time frame?
We do have 3 years total
Okay.
to spend it, so we do have some time. We have to do a report every 3 months, I believe, to the federal government treasury of what we're doing. Are we sitting on it? Are we gaining interest? So they're really pushing, get it, spend it, especially at the level at less than $1 million. They want it out to energize the economy.
Okay.
Tiara,
The thing that strikes me with those signs is I'm not very active on Facebook, but I know that Boz has done really a great job in communicating that way, and there are so many that really do appreciate that. But when we talk about not sending out the mailers with the newsletter and spontaneous communication, there are a lot of people that are not on Facebook, and the older community that in and out of town might see some change. That I think there's some value to it, and I think that they also can be made to look aesthetically pleasing. So I think it's a good investment in the communication for our whole village, not just the social media savvy, the email savvy, but the whole, even to bring attention enough to, I want to call and see what's going on with this. I think it's a good idea.
We could send out a newsletter for $40,000 for probably 12 or 13 years. I just did quick math, but I'm not advocating for that. I'm a tech, I'll go look on the village site for my information that's out there. And I know not everybody's the same. I understand that. I'm just not a big fan of that. I think that's a pretty extreme expense. It's just my perspective. I wasn't at the meeting, so I probably have to shut up and move on.
Tiara, anything else?
No.
I do agree with the printed part though. Sue?
I was just going to second what Tiara pointed out, that I think she's right, that not everybody is on Facebook. And we need other methods. And I think it's also a way of informing the village of the same things at the same time, and that's a community feeling that you know what your neighbor knows, or, whatever.
Eric, then John.
I didn't pick any of these projects. I'm just, this was all in committee for a lot of months. I just wanted to kind of put the cart before the horse and allow the committees to pick and choose the project. So really, all this discussion has nothing to do with the
Oh, your
motion.
motion's still sailing.
Yeah,
We're down to about 3 knots, but we're still sailing. John?
just a question for Diane. Can legally we put the newsletter in with the water bill? Is there any restriction regarding that? And would that increase the weight where we have more cost? I don't know the answers, I'm just being
Thinking of the timing
rhetorical.
of it, I guess, because the water bills will go out the end of June.
The timing doesn't
In
work
the
is what you're
summer
saying.
newsletter, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I just
guess,
thought,
yeah.
just pick it
Unless
up.
we change our timing, but we usually try to get it out before the hydrant flushing, so people,
Yeah,
are made aware of that.
no, I don't have any problem with the timing on the water bill. I was just thinking, well, does one fall in the fall? But just a wild thought. Okay,
We're not, for clarification, we're not eliminating the quarterly newsletter, because there's still a lot of benefit to that. There's a lot more lengthy discussions we could have in that. Having a digital sign that's connected to my phone, Ben's phone, there's an immediate message we can put out. Heat hazard, hydrant flushing, there's an emergency at ERCO, stay inside. I mean, there's massive amounts of information that we can push out. We are not gonna go down the route of playing videos that people have accidents looking at.
Okay,
We don't want
Lucy?
My support is for it, only because even being on Facebook, I have so much stuff on there. I don't, date reminders, like the Lions Club's having their pancake breakfast. I see a lot of value in that, even if you are on social media. It's the quick reminders. A lot of communities around us are doing more of those things. I see the benefit of it, and yeah, I wouldn't want a big gaudy one out front, but I mean, that's
I
just
think
my
it looks
opinion.
nice in the Coosa.
Anybody else?
I can think of a lot of things that are
Can I
better in
just
the
say,
Coosa,
these
as
projects
long
all
as they stay there.
add up to 80,000, so there's 5,000
I'm
left.
sorry, would you repeat that?
These costs for these projects add up to 80,000, so there's still 5,000 left, was that done purposely?
Yes, yeah.
Okay,
There's-
okay.
There's still some
Making
discussions of some of the projects. I think Public Works,
thanks,
John,
Diane. Thank you.
some other discussion.
Okay. See, there is no more discussion on the motion that was read by Chairman Saylor, that you have in front of you, and motion forward by he. And for Trustee Mitchell's second, I will call for a vote. All those in favor of the motion will signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Okay, one opposed. Okey dokey. And the only thing I have to say on the digital signs, while if it is gonna cost us 40,000, you alleviated a lot of my fears by saying that's the cap. Also, the biggest thing about those is where have people been looking for the signage so far? And you called the 2 places where it has been, by Aubie Park and by the fire department. I thank you for putting those signs there.
I have one comment though.
Oh, it's over, sir. No, go ahead.
So the one comment I have is that $40,000, I'm assuming that Boz got that from the FEMA grant that I put in. And that $40,000 was for a double sign at the fire station, but that was with the concrete and the whole 9 yards. I did explain to Boz at that meeting that there's other vendors in town. We're buying 2 new ones for a school in Nakusa, and there's cheaper things out there. So that cost, I'm assuming, will come down.
I am gonna miss though, when you're at the fireman's dance and they have their little sign out there in years past and the storm comes through, it usually seems every other fireman's dance and the letters go shooting off out into the road. I am gonna miss that. Okay, Eric, anything else?
Nope.
Yes, no,
That's
that's it?
Yep.
Okay, Chairman Mansell.
All right, we had the Parks and Recreation meeting, May 27th. We ended up coming in here indoors because it was very cold and rainy, so we could not meet out at the park at Ripple like we wanted to. We discussed the survey that Boz put out for everybody to kind of use. I'm not gonna go through that, you guys all have it, but there's a lot of good things being said. People feel safe in our parks, they like our parks, so that's, all good things. And then we kind of went through what we have in stock for the parks, in different ideas going forward on how to increase recreation. Some of them are kayak entrances into the river and the lake, working with ERCO for that. And we had a dog park update by Scent Trails. Everything's going well in the fundraising portion of it. They are having a fundraiser at the Rafters game, I believe it's July 10th. If you buy one of their packages, it's $20 for the ticket, a hat, hot dog and a soda, I think, and then $8 for every ticket goes back to the dog park. So hopefully they'll get a good funding source for them. Trying to get a summer events calendar. Boss is working with the chamber to kind of get something going for that and have little events to kind of get the community together after the pandemic. I don't think I have any motions. Anybody have any questions? Yes.
Is the dog park still, in my memory, which is shaky nowadays, 100% funded by that group?
Yes.
Okay, that's the understanding.
It's not fully funded yet, but
It's not fully funded.
No,
yet,
but I mean,
the
they're
expectation is-
covering 100% of the cost of the dog park.
correct.
And we're helping with
With the-
signage that would go up in our parks. and-
Sure.
Okay, anything else, Betsy? No? All right, I'm gonna move on to unfinished business, and I'm gonna, since I've got the gavel, I'm gonna get my question in first. Could you give us the chairman of the special committee update on DMI, if there's anything? I know you two are kibitzing back and forth.
Has there been anything other than we put everything off again as far as the litigation?
Yeah, litigation is still September. Nothing, the water issues they've had with K&K Trucking have been resolved. And that was their issue. The only new thing that happened, and we'll hear in 3 weeks here, is that the county issued forfeiture notice to DMI based on payment, lack of tax payment. So that'll drive a very forceful discussion on their part that if at the end of this month, they have till 30 June, they do not pay their latest tax bill, it's about $50,000, do not pay the 2017 tax bill, the county will seize the property and we will be the first ones offered an opportunity to either purchase at a fair rate of just paying the past due taxes. So we could end up owning it, or it goes out to the market for sealed bids and someone else takes it on. And right now, as of today, they still haven't paid, so we'll see how it goes.
They have to win.
30 June.
Well, they're, when they deal with the county treasurer, that's a whole different ballgame than.
Oh, yeah, no, they ain't playing.
Municipality. Okay, anything else, Dana? I thank you for that update.
I wanna
There's something there, but if you can't say it, I guess we don't.
see.
Yeah, I'm with you. Already working that angle because,
Alright,
yeah.
because it's always better to be in control than to be not.
I totally agree, and that's why I made it very clear to the county that does the village have right of first refusal?
Yeah.
And they made it very clear, yes, you have the first say, and then if not, it goes to the open market. So we will have this discussion in July of if it's something the village wants to entertain, and for what cost.
Does that include the rail yard?
That's everything, sir, the whole deal. 180 acres plus whatever's there.
I would hope that the special committee would be studying that first option.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm
In
with you.
detail.
Yeah. We're working it with the county.
We're not gonna give you any money for it, though.
Well,
County is poor, we don't have any money. $56 billion jail, I'm gonna get into that. I hope you read this letter that Boz put together.
I did.
Okay, new business. Boz, we'll go right into village administrator, and I hope you give a little expo on your park recreation survey a little bit.
Yeah, no, cut and dry, taking out the whole COVID, honestly, just based on, we as a village, as well as a county, are over 65, closer to 70% vaccinated. We're at a point, according to the county, that there's 20% that will not be vaccinated, irregardless of the situation. So we're hovering in the 10% range of people that either need to be vaccinated or may still come down with it. So based on all those numbers, I didn't see the value added to keep punching a lot of data on how many cases. There are no active cases in the village. There are no people dealing with it right now, that at least the county's tracking. So that's why it's a lot shorter report. No issues with fire or pay and payroll. We do have our summer workers are on deck and working with our public works. One agreement we made with the school, they're in the basically same, not the same, but a similar situation like us with some federal funding. So Kyle came to me and we worked out a deal that they, using school money, will replace all those little blue signs in the village. Points to Ripple, points to the church. So not just the ones that point to the schools, they've taken on replacing all the signs for us as a contribution to the village aesthetics. So they're gonna do that. It's about a $5,000 cost that we don't have to bear. And the school system's taking that on. So I appreciated that. So if you see Kyle, give him a thanks. So he didn't need to do that. The survey went very well. We're hovering around 100 people right now. On the park survey, you have the allotted specific state in there. Right now we're working on what I'm calling the quality of life survey. That's still open on our website. We're getting a lot of good feedback in there, a lot of great comments. So at the end of probably July, I'll have that data for you to give you a better sense, just in time for budget time, to have a good sense of what people want to see in the village, what initiatives are doing good, what they're questioning, and that may be of a good point of discussion. And a lot of good feedback, and I also have the specific input people are giving, not just checking a block. A lot of the specifics. Police fire, we are doing the hiring for a new chief. We have 2 internal candidates that are being vetted right now at the fire department. Probably in the July timeframe, they will be done based on the procedure. Their membership committee does a lot of the work, kicks it up to public police and fire commission for them to do more vetting and additional hiring applications. At the end of this month, probably I'll bring up through public safety and maybe require a committee of the whole. We'll have a discussion if we see a need to advertise external to the village. Right now, we're ranking up internal. We have candidates, they're fully qualified. It may be a decision on our part that suffices and we don't need to put a notice out statewide, come be a fire chief. It's not a paid job.
Colonel, if I may, I'm calling that committee of the whole in July to, just for the trustees to kick the can down the road for the upcoming budget. Nothing formal, it's just us to get together with our, what we're looking at doing and what, and stuff like that. Could we have that at the
Sure,
same meeting?
that'd be a good time for it.
If you make it the same agenda, I'd appreciate it.
Budget's no issue, the budget on track. The loan, I should finalize the stuff with the bank this week, and then we'll go live with that probably in the July timeframe for our first payment. And for one point of clarification for John, this loan gets us in the black from this day forward, and we don't, without even raising rates.
But okay, and I understood that it was,
Yeah.
but it wasn't going to be. Eventually, we're in the same predicament. No.
We are very close to just breaking even based on the existing capital loan, the
Right.
200,000.
Right.
Once that's paid, we actually start generating revenue on a yearly
All right.
basis.
All right.
Yeah.
I misspoke then. Thank you.
So, but more to follow on that once we get that finalized. The Veterans Day events went well. The funding for there, we're going to tweak the design of the Veterans Park, I'll say, out there by the cemetery. A lot of comments of the location of the existing memorial is very close to the road, and it causes a lot of frustration. You can't really talk. Someone's driving down the highway. We can't block the street. So it may drive a discussion, and it'll come up through Public Works based on the cemetery. that either moving it to the flip side or moving it further back into the cemetery may be a better option to give proper respects and
Mhm.
peace for a proper ceremony to be conducted. But otherwise, that went well. And that is all I have. Unless you have questions.
Okay, thanks, Boz. Any questions for Boz before we move on?
We have a known park with no name yet.
Park, no name park, yes, sir. That's what we got.
Might just leave it.
Who we named it as Central Park, that we used to call Central Park, no name park.
I will defer that to the
Catholic
pit committee.
Church.
Pit committee will be the naming convention.
Pit committee? Okay.
The kids
It could
call
be
it
parks.
Triangle Park.
Oh, boy. Trustee comments, please keep them kosher.
I did have something
Go ahead.
today.
Oh, did I screw up again?
You gotta
Yes, I
bring some
did.
liquor license.
11 comes
Okay.
after 10.
All right.
Okay, I'd like to ask
Oh,
for,
hold on just a minute. Without objection, since the three motions from Diane, which would have to still be read individually, I would like to take them all on one vote.
Moved.
Do I have a
Second,
second?
or Eric, whoever.
Okay. Anybody object? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so Diane will read them all, and then since, and then we'll take one vote. I'm sorry, Diane, go ahead.
okay, well, a motion to approve a Class A beer and Class A liquor retail license for BK Oil Inc. Amico at 421 State Highway 73, Nacusa, valid from July 1st, 2021 to June 30th, 2022. And also a motion to approve operators licenses for employees of BK Oil Inc. Nathan Bogdan, Aaron Dean, Michaela McCrossin, Barbara Skilla, and Michelle Wold, valid from July 1st, 2021 to June 30th, 2022. And also for a motion to approve a cigarette and tobacco products retail license for BK Oil Inc. Amico at 421 State Highway 73, Nacusa, valid from July 1st, 2021 to June 30th, 2022. And I just want to mention that they all pass background checks run by our police department.
Okay, the motion was made by Chairman Duncan, or Trustee Duncan, second by Trustee Bingham. Any discussion on the motions? Hearing no request to speak, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That was unanimous. Okay, now, 12 is after 11, as Dana said, so trustee comments. Eric?
So I just have two things. First off, just a reminder that the Port Edwards Farmers Dance is June 18th. Can't put it on a sign, we don't own a sign.
Thank God we'll get some rain.
But we're having a tent and the music will be outside. It's the same band that we've had road trip. So stop on down,
Oh, yeah.
have a broth, have a drink, whatever. And then second, Boz you handed out the challenge coin. Maybe people don't know what a challenge coin is, so if Boz could kind of just go through what a challenge coin is, and by the way, the coin is pretty nice.
Sure, yeah, and I apologize. Wanted to create something for the village to, certificates just go so far, something more substantial. So I defaulted to my military background. We have challenge coins. Challenge coins are usually at the higher level in the military. They're a coin where they call it a challenge coin because when you meet another veteran, another service member, you usually can, in your hand, you have your coin that forces them to show their coin. And if they don't, they owe you a drink. That's kind of the background of it. So you'll see them mostly at drinking establishments. But ours.
That's why you gave me one.
Exactly, yeah, but I noticed I didn't get any drinks for you. That's the problem. So we created one that recognizes on the flip side, and I'm negligent. I need to give at least a couple to each trustee to hand out at your leisure to any residents or villagers you feel worthy. I wanted them to mean something, so we don't just give them out arbitrarily. They're more for significant, but ours shows the village initial logo, I'll call it, on the front. And then it recognizes on the flip side, fire department, police department, public works, all our departments, full recognition. And it basically says in appreciation to your efforts to help the village. So we can use it as a recognition tool. So that's what we have. We have a bunch of them, and I will hand some out to y'all to give at your leisure. And if you recognize someone, I want to start doing at least monthly, recognize a villager. We either get feedback in this form and then I can engage them and we can do a posting online, or we do like we did tonight. We invite them to the next meeting and get that interaction between our villagers and y'all.
I like it.
Anybody else?
Where are you getting the coins?
These are from a East Coast, they do a lot of military coins, fire departments, police departments.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know the name of the company.
I would like to request on the next board agenda, an item talking about the elimination of the Police and Fire Commission. And I think the board should have control over that. We're not required by statute, is my understanding, to have a Police and Fire Commission. We typically have to deal with what they do. And I think the board should have more control. I don't think it's working for us.
Okay, we can't discuss it now, of course, but one trustee by rule can have something added to the board agenda. I think though, however, trustee Bingham, that would be better put into a committee of the whole at the start.
Okay, or go back to safety. I don't know if that's appropriate. I'm just bringing it up as a discussion item.
Trustees agree about having a committee of the whole on the matter first, then the board agenda?
Adding it to the committee of the whole meeting that's
In
coming up.
July,
We could put all three things on the same meeting.
Yeah, I'm fine with
Because I just think that is an important decision,
it is.
and we're better off to have a committee meeting on it to look at all the pros and cons before we move forward.
Okay, late July. Got it.
Thank you.
You bet. Okay, no further discussion. We're gonna have a remedial approach to agenda item 13. I apologize for getting a little huffy with all the different times and we're changing them. But all I'm gonna say to my chairman, when you set a time for your next meeting and a date, Boz is always at your meetings. Make sure the chairman and the administrator are in agreement, okay? So then if we get like I do, get the draft agenda 3 or 4 days before it's gotta be posted, then we know all the dates are kosher. And if all of a sudden you have a couple members of your committee call and say, hey, I've had something come up, it is the chairman's responsibility to address the village administrator and come up with the proper time, okay? So the chairman, that's your responsibility. That is your committee. You're in your members' committee. I have nothing to do with when you meet, time you meet, and stuff like that. Did I say that correctly, Boz?
You're good, and I'll take the hit on this one.
Thank you.
This may have been miscommunication on my part from your minutes.
You don't hear that from full birds often, right, Eric? But that's a nice captain in our line of work.
I'm enlisted, I don't talk to him anyway.
So if you would go through each individual one, Boz, and state the time we're meeting.
Public Works, 17 June at 4 PM, and that'll be in person here. Public Safety will follow that 6th July, which is a Tuesday, and that'll be at 4 o'clock in here. That's followed by FHR, 8 July, Thursday that same week. That'll be in person at 4:30, right at the end of the workday for us. And then the pit will follow that immediately by 5, same date, 8 July. Our Parks and Recreation, sorry, that's out of sequence, will be on 24th June, which is usually the last week of the month. 24th June at 4 PM. That will attempt to meet at Edwards Alexander Memorial by the shelter, weather dependent. And then obviously 13 July is the next board meeting.
So the FHR hit or off from what's listed by half hour.
Yes, sir. Yeah, starts at 4:30, goes to 5.
All right.
And then the committee of the whole is when?
Boz will,
Yeah, I always
if you
say
have
when I
any
gotta look.
special dates, let's set that now. Anybody have a date that's a no-no?
Our board meeting's on the 13th, and then the next meeting is the following Thursday for the Public Works. So if you want to do it the week of the 19th, or the 20th is a Tuesday, or you want to do it the last week of July.
Feedback, folks?
I will be gone the 29th and 30th.
Doesn't matter.
20 July,
Tuesdays
Tuesday,
work for me.
20 July,
20,
going once. 20 July sounds like.
20 July. Que hora es?
Okay, what
We're
time?
gonna go with,
What
what time? Early or?
Earlier the better. 4 o'clock? 20 July, 4 o'clock? No? 5? Okay, let's do it at 5 for Dana's sake, if you would.
It's hard enough for me to get here at 5.
All right, 20 July, 5 PM, we'll add it to the calendar.
Before I let you go, Colonel,
So we're at 4,
3 items.
5.
Police and Fire Commission elimination and Fire Chief update.
Fire chief update.
What was your third?
Budget.
Budget.
Those are the only two?
No, budget.
Budget.
Initial budget. is
Not that important.
The hydrants weren't flushed today, were they?
They were doing it,
Today
yeah.
and tomorrow.
Wish we had a sign that reminded us.
We'll have it. We're all gonna meet.
Can't you tell by the dirty water?
Okay.
I did laundry today.
Once those signs are established, we're gonna meet either by the fire department or at Aubie Park after our board meetings, and Oz will sit here with his phone and type in, okay, dummies, these are the next meeting dates. But then Diane will have to be here to keep him straight. Before adjournment, Boz has one more.
Any alibis on, any questions on this? One-page fact sheet, citizens got it, they were just calling a lot, sending me notes, I said, hey,
About the jail?
let's put it down in writing, answers or questions. Our point of contact for obviously is the president, he sits on the board, he's the one vote. But I'm sure all of you may be getting questions about the cost to a villager of a new jail. I tried my best to capture that. So
Dana mentioned about very few calls. I was hoping I have not heard from any of my constituents in Grand Rapids, Saratoga, or Port Edward.
Well, you don't want to hear from me.
Well, I'm not leaning in favor of it right now. I want to be bluntly honest with my closest political friends. And the reason being is they did not explain themselves well enough. You have $56,000, but there's a little talk out in the hallway after the meeting when we heard what the ad hoc committee was planning on doing. That it's closer to 58
That's a cell.
8 million right now. And how much of that is gonna actually go to the jail? Since you're building in that one building, the sheriff's department's going in there too. How many millions are going to make sure they have nice offices?
Could have had this done 20 years ago.
20 years ago, yeah.
18 million.
Actually, it came in at pretty dang close, 20.5 million or something.
Yeah, and that was a
People in
high grade
jail. We
instead
need
of
to figure
having
that
to
out.
haul prisoners from
We need to figure that
Wapaka.
out.
And there's no guarantee that they say, well, $100,000 home, you're only gonna pay additional $35 a year. You know, and then it's gonna start going down. The only thing, and Boz pointed this out, it's a real good point I'll pass along. The only thing that Joe Zerflu could commit to, and I gotta meet with Lance Plumwell yet, and the sheriff tomorrow, and they're making their push for passage of this, is how can I guarantee your tax rate is not, mill rate is not gonna go up 15 years down the line? You know,
Do you have any idea how much we pay sending out to other jails annually?
Oh, it's easy. There's a
1
budget on it.
1.2 million for the
Yeah.
county. And that's only for 40 folks, 30 or 40 folks.
The most
See, if
recent
we-
thing I heard from the county is now they're gonna go after spouses in child support arrears, or put them in jail. I go, what? I don't support that action of, the spouse should,
Anyway.
but they're gonna put them in jail. Well, how are you gonna pay if you're in jail?
Well, they already take away their driving privileges, which makes
It's
no
like-
sense. It's like,
I mean, I'm not-
in Madison and Milwaukee, but
Those guys I have no
it's
respect
making it
for,
work.
but putting them in jail it doesn't make any sense. And as soon as we legalize marijuana, half the jail will be empty.
oh, God, don't get.
Next week, bring that, can I put that on the
Oh,
agenda?
but marijuana is not a gateway drug. It doesn't lead to
It's not.
anything. 37 plus years in law enforcement, listen to the cops. It does lead to other drugs. Even in our little town here, how kids in high school at 14 years old, we caught with the dope on them. And guess what? 10 years later, they're doing the hard
They're on
stuff.
the school board.
John. Motion to adjourn?
You and I need a beverage on
Already
that one.
recorded.
Motion to adjourn.
Second. Alcohol.
Mansell, Sailor, we're adjourned.
Not only like would they have gotten that